Welcome, everyone. My name is Raymond Neff. I am a sales engineer with ESET North America, and today we're going to talk about moving off of our on-prem Protect console into our cloud console. Super easy to migrate, doesn't take that long. Uh, you don't have to reinstall anything on the endpoint. You don't got to reinstall agents. So it makes it pretty simple. Most things you can migrate over. So if you can see my screen, we have what we call partial migration documentation. That gives you step-by-steps how to migrate your computers, your static groups, your policies, any dynamic group templates, report templates, and those types of things. Over to the right, this tells you what you cannot migrate into the cloud. Okay, so this is step-by-step, super easy to go through to be able to do the migrate, but I'm going to show it to you in a demo on the Protect console. So you have a business account. I'm going to go ahead and log into it. If you have a business account, if you don't have a business account where you're managing your licensing, now we're moved into the hub. So you would create a protecthub.eset.com account, and then basically you would import your license. But most people migrating from on-prem to the cloud already have a business account. So once you get a cloud-enabled license, which is going to be like ESET Protect Entry, ESET Protect Advanced, Complete, or Enterprise, or Elite, any of those bundles are cloud bundles. So if you upgrade your license from on-prem to a cloud bundle, you'll see it in here, and you'll see everything that comes in that cloud bundle, all the different products that are in there. Once you have this upgraded to that, then on your dashboard, if you have Protect, it'll come up and it'll say activate ESET Protect. So you activate it, you tell it you want the US data centers. We use Microsoft Azure for our data center. Once you say activate Protect, it spins up the Protect console. If you have our EDR on-prem, that would be, and you had Inspect, then you could activate Inspect. If you have our Complete bundle, then you would have Cloud Office Security, and then you can activate Cloud Office Security. So I'm just going to go through the migration of Protect. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Once you come into the the newly created Protect console, looks a lot like the on-prem. Not a lot has changed. We do have a lot of things that we have in the cloud that we don't have on-prem, like vulnerability and patch management, our incident creator, those types of things. But the first thing I do is I pull over my computers from my on-prem. So in your on-prem console, you can come in and go to the cogwheel, and you can export your structure in your on-prem console. Okay. Once you export it, you can come in here and you can import it. It will pull in all your static groups and all your computers into your Protect console. Okay. Once it pulls them in, they're going to be sitting there unmanaged. Now, in the on-prem, you have what we call static group synchronization that you can use there. That'll sync your Active Directory. If you want to still do that, you can do that first with our Active Directory scanner. So the way this works, since you're in the cloud, you got to install this on a machine on your network, your domain control, your app server, whatever you want. And then you just generate a token. And then basically you download the scanner, put it on that machine, you run it, you give it the token, and then it'll sync your Active Directory OU structure into the console with all the computers. If you want to do that, you're able to do that. If not, just export what you have out on-prem and then just come in here and import it so you see all your computers. Once you have your computers in here, they'll all be listed, not managed. And then over here on your on-prem, if you have any special policies that you have, the way I do it in the on-prem is I'll create a filter and say is assigned. I'll come up here and look at the all policies is assigned, and I see every policy that's assigned to my machine and decide whether I need to bring that policy over. Okay. So if I want to bring over, let's just say this endpoint for Windows policy. So right here, I can export the policy out of on-prem and then come in here and I can import those policies into this console. Once you import them, then you got to assign them to your groups, just like you assign them to your on-prem groups, okay? If I want to show details, it's going to give me information on it. So you're looking at this in the on-prem console. I can see it's applied to all of these machines. So when I move the policy into the cloud, I can assign it to the correct machine. So now the policies are assigned. Now, when you migrate, your endpoints aren't going to lose any of your policies, but you're getting these all set up so that if you deploy a new computer, it'll get the correct policy, just like your existing computers, right? So like I said, you don't got to reinstall the software. The policies are all going to stay on your endpoints. The agent's going to stay. If you have inspect, the connector's still going to stay on the endpoint itself. So the next step, you get your policies in, moved over. Then we have up here in quick links what we call a migration policy, okay? So we're going to download this policy. We're going to import it into our on-prem console and assign it to our machines. Once you assign it to them, they have to check in, grab the management agent policy, and it's going to tell it to check into your cloud console. It's going to change the certificate, and they're going to check in on 443 and no longer check in on 2222 to your on-prem server. So you got to leave your on-prem server up long enough for them all to check in and grab the new policy and then show up in the cloud console. Okay, so once you apply that policy to them, then all your machines unmanaged will start showing managed in your environment, and then they're moved over into the cloud. If you have on-prem EDR, which is inspect, the connectors are just going to know, hey, I need to check into the cloud. You don't need to do a migration policy for them to start sending their events to the inspect console. Okay, so now you got everybody migrated in. A couple of things, if you have reports or you've created reports, you can export those and import them in. If you have dynamic group templates to where you automate things, the dynamic group templates can be exported, any of them that you created. If you have created any of your own, you can export them, and then over under the group structure, you would just basically create a new dynamic group and assign your template to it. Now, if you have any tasks that automatically run when it joins a dynamic group, then those tasks will have to be recreated and assigned to that dynamic group change. Okay, so I wanted to go over that. That's a little bit different when you're migrating over here, because it's not going to pull your predefined dynamic groups over. So now you have your policies over, you have your structure over, you created your migration policy, you have all your machines checking in over into the cloud console, then you're pretty much set. We do have what we call platform modules, depending on what bundle that you have, where you can turn everything on in your environment. So if you have our advanced, then you're going to have our cloud sandboxing, which is our 0-day protection, where you can make sure it's enabled on all your machines. If you have full disk encryption that's in the advanced, you can enable that. If you have our complete, you can enable our vulnerability and patch management. And then if you have our MDR service or our XDR service, then you can enable inspect within your console. So really, this is super easy, may take 30 minutes. A lot of our customers think it's going to take a lifetime to migrate. They need time, a lot of time to do it, when really you can get into the cloud super quick, decommission your on-prem server. You don't have to deal with databases, Tomcat, Java, everything that you have to deal with upgrading the on-prem. We keep those things up to date for you through the console itself, and we update the cloud console probably 6 to 7 times a year, and just add new features to it. But that's all I have for today, and I appreciate your time, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the video.